Hi, in this video we're gonna take a look at a new MPV player plugin that I wrote that allows you to track what you watch in MPV player by using the command line time tracker tool that is called Timewarrior. And so my MPV plugin that I wrote for that is called Mediawarrior. So that's what we're gonna be looking at today. So here's the GitHub page for Mediawarrior. So the first thing that I wanted to go over is how to install it, and it is actually extremely simple. All you need to do is to go to your scripts directory for your MPV player, which is by default located in .config MPV scripts, and then you just clone this repository there, and you don't need to do anything else, so this repository will work as it is. And then if you need to, at any point, if you want to upgrade, if you want to use a new version, you just need to cd into that directory that contains the repo, and you run git pull, and you will get the latest updates. So I'm not gonna even show this because this is just extremely simple. I'm sure you won't have any problems with this. So the second thing, before we get to the actual plugin, looking at how it works, we need to install one dependency, and that is the Timewarrior time tracker that I already mentioned. So Timewarrior, if you have never used it, here is the website. It is completely command line based, and it's a very useful tool. I use it all the time. Actually, let me show you this other view of another monitor that I have. So in this, this is just a terminal window, and I'm running Tmux here to use split panes. So I have 3 panes here where you can see the output of Timewarrior. So in this top pane, you have this chart report, which shows what things were time tracked on each day, and it kind of shows it in this visual way. This table shows every single thing that was time tracked, so starting like this is ID number 1, ID number 2, and so on. So this is the most recent one at the bottom. This is called the summary report, and this bottom one just shows if the status of tracking. Right now it says there's no, what does it say? There's no active time tracking. I'm like managing multiple displays here, so it might be a bit complicated. But no time tracking running right now, but we will be looking at that, and you'll see how it works in action in a few moments. So that's Timewarrior. So you can install it. Let me bring back this view, and you can install it if you are on Debian Linux, or probably like on other Linux distributions as well. You can install it from the distributions package manager. On Debian, the command would be sudo apt install Timewarrior, and you would get a version of Timewarrior, but it might not be the most recent one. Maybe on other distributions you would get a pretty recent version. But I also made a video on this channel about how to compile Timewarrior from source, and that way you can get the most recent version. So if you would like to have the most recent version, even the development version if you want, you can watch that video, and it will explain to you how to compile Timewarrior from source. It's very simple. There's nothing complicated about it at all. So yeah, this is what you need to do before you can use Mediawarrior, because it uses that time tracker to actually record the periods of time where you played something in MPV. So yeah, there's that. Just one more thing that I'm going to mention here. Let me go back to this view. So what I'm running here is actually not just Timewarrior, but I'm passing output of Timewarrior through other things. So I made a video about, should have opened this GitHub, other GitHub repo, but let me open it real quick. So I wrote a command line tool called watchtower that will allow you to get these exact views that I have here. So this is gonna be pretty convenient because by default, for example, Timewarrior can't really fit this chart report into the screen, so it won't like be easy to view. And this also allows you to monitor the output of Timewarrior in real time. But by default, Timewarrior will just print out things kind of once, so you'd have to like run the command over and over again to see the changes. This way you will see the changes in real time. So if you'd like to have that set up, you can use my watchtower command line tool, and I also made a video about that. It will be released by the time this video will be up, so link will be in the description, so you can watch that video to see how that works. And it's also nothing complicated. I go into like other things in that video, like how to write your own scripts for watchtower, but the Timewarrior scripts are already provided here in the repo, so they are here in scripts, and you can see that TimeW chart status and summary are here. You just need to install them. How to install them, it's explained in the watchtower video, so everything is ready to go. You can use that out of the box. So okay, I think we have covered all the initial steps that you need to take to start using Timewarrior. Now let's get into the actual usage of the plugin. So for this, I'm going to need to change around a few things here so that I can show you stuff in the best possible way. So I'm going to change to this other view, which shows you two displays. So this is one display, one monitor that I have in front of me, and this is another one that I have over here to the side. So that's why I'm going to be looking over here like this sometimes. Yeah, and I'm gonna be running things here in this pane. So I'm gonna be launching MPV from here. There's not really, I hope it's not, the font is not too small, but there's really no other way for me to show everything at once. I mean, I checked it, and like if you watch it on the computer, it should be readable. So I hope it's gonna work out. So now let's get into Mediawarrior. So in this folder over here, I have a bunch of example files. These are just some free videos that I downloaded from Wikimedia Commons. Well, this is meant to like exemplify what you might use for your language learning, like content and in your target language. And I'm realizing that like, well, you don't really have to be a language learner to use this plugin, but I created it for language learning, so that's why you might hear me talk about it. But obviously you can just like track whatever you watch in MPV player without really learning languages. That's just something that you can also do. So these are just some example files, and I'm going to be using them in this video to demonstrate what Mediawarrior can do. So let me just open that stuff, and let me move the player up here. So here we go, we have some content running here. So the first thing that you can do, man, like I'm realizing that it's just like it's a complicated tutorial, because I also would like to like show you the, man, like, okay, let's see. So in this top on this display I have this, so I would also like to sometimes show this. So let me zoom this in, I guess, and I don't think I'm gonna need this, so I'll rearrange that. Sorry about this, but like a little bit of so yeah, this will work, so that I just can also show you the readme, because we'll be talking about, so we'll start by talking about Keybindings, and then we'll talk about the options, about how you can configure Mediawarrior, what configuration options there are. So let's start with Keybindings. So the first and the most simple thing that you can do is to start tracking by pressing Ctrl-T. So let's do that. Let me unpause this. So if I press Ctrl-T, you can see that there was a message that flashed here, mediaw start, And you can also see that now Timewarrior is tracking. You can see that the status has changed here. You can see that the tracking is on. And there's also one entry that appeared here and here. So now we have tracking going on. So you can also see some messages here that appear in blue. Those are debug messages from Mediawarrior. I just happen to have them on at this time. You don't have to have them. There's a way to disable them. But I just left them on because this way you can also see what commands it runs under the hood. So maybe someone would like to see that and would give them more information about like what Timewarrior commands are being run. So I'll just leave that there, and you can pause and take a look if you're curious. So Control-T to start tracking. To stop tracking, you can press Control-Shift-T. So that stops the tracking. So now this is the most simple way to interact with Mediawarrior, but there's also other things. So I showed you this key binding and this key binding. So okay, let me show you also what cancel is while we are discussing starting and stopping. So let me start again. So I'll start another record. So when you press cancel, so this shortcut is Shift Control Alt T. So what that does, it stops the tracking and it deletes the last entry that it created. It will only delete the last entry. If you press Control Shift Alt T again, it will say already canceled. So that's one thing that it does. And let me start another tracking again. So I start it again. If you already stop the tracking and you then cancel, it will just delete the last entry. So how it makes sense? You can, like, if you just like if you were just, you can either stop and delete the entry at the same time by pressing Shift Control Alt T, or you can first press Shift Control T to stop, and then if you realize, oh, I also want to delete the entry, you can then press Shift Control Alt T and it will delete the last entry, which kind of is also means canceling. So so yeah, that's starting, stopping, and canceling. Now there's also something that you can do which might be helpful. So let me close MPV for a second. I got something weird over there from another script, some bug probably. Let me not worry about that right now. Let's see. So let's say you start watching something and you watched for a while and then you realize, oh, I should have started the tracking, so you forgot to enable tracking. So there's a solution for that. It's called start retro. So retroactively start and adjust the time to the time when the file was opened. So start retro is, oh, it's a typo here, so it's a Control Alt T. I have a bunch of typos here, sorry about that, but what I was saying was correct. I will correct the README once I release this video. So the shortcut is Control Alt T. So if I press that, you can see that the message said start, and it said -43 seconds. So it ran the command that adjusted the time, and you can see that in the debug output. If you look closely and you know how Timewarrior commands work, you will see that there's like a modification that is made to the starting time. So it's the start time was modified to the time when the file was opened. So that way you can potentially correct if you forgot to start the tracking. So let me cancel that, or maybe I could have stopped that, but it doesn't matter. So let's see. That's man, I can't believe I made all these typos here, but whatever, it's okay. Okay, so now let's take a look at this mediaw pause key binding. So what this does is it allows you to pause tracking if you want to take a break. So let's take a look at that. So I'll start the player again, I'll start the tracking. So let's say that some time has passed and I want to take a break. So if I press Control Space, it will pause the tracking. So you saw the message mediaw pause, and what pausing means is really just it stops Timewarrior. It just closes that entry, and when you unpause the player, it doesn't matter if you press just pause or control pause, but when you unpause, it will create a new entry and it will continue tracking. So that way you can just take a break at any point and pause the tracking at that time. So you can also just pause the player without stopping Timewarrior by pausing normally by pressing space. But yeah, you can also pause, stop the tracking like that. So that's pausing. Now there's also one other pause related key binding here, Control Alt Space, and it's called pause on next. So that means that if you're about to finish watching a file, let's see. Yeah, so if you're about to finish watching a file and you're thinking, oh, like there's a next entry in the playlist, but I want to stop at this point. You can press Control Alt Space, and it will pause once it reaches the next entry, or like it will stop the tracking, but it will pause the player at that point, and then you can just close the player by using the quit watch later MPE player key binding. By default it's mapped to Shift Q. I have it mapped to Control Alt Q, so you can press that and you can save the state of the player so that you can later just resume and it will open at that exact same place. And now actually when you open the player in the paused state, you can just press Control Space again, so using this mediaw pause, and it will simply start tracking in that case. So that's also a way to start tracking from a paused state. So it should be pretty intuitive how this works. Yeah, so these are essentially the main features. Let's now talk about the options that it has. So so the first option here is tag. That is the tag that it adds to a Timewarrior entry. So if you look over here in my summary report, you can see that I use the tag languages. So that's something that I changed for myself in the configuration file. So the configuration file, that's probably something that we should look into. Let's see. So the configuration file is you simply create it in the folder .config mpv script opt mediaw.conf. So you need to create that file and then you can add configuration options here. So you can see that I have set tag to languages, but that's just something that I prefer. By default the tag is mediaw. So yeah, the script is called Mediawarrior, but I use mediaw because Timewarrior uses timew for its main command. So to use Timewarrior, you type timew, and mediaw is shorter. And if you want to, like, you can also pass these options on the command line, and you would have to type like script opts mediaw dash and then the name of the option, so that's shorter. So I decided not to use the long word Mediawarrior and just had mediaw as the kind of the main way to refer to this plugin, at least in the context of like command line configuration files, etc. So so yeah, that's the main tag. Then there's also language tag, which can be set to true or false, but in the configuration file you say yes or no in that case. So you can set language tag equals no if you don't want Mediawarrior to add a language tag. So you can see here that it added SV, that stands for Swedish, and yeah, that it determines that automatically based on the language of the subtitle or the audio track that is playing. So that's something that it does. It's useful for language learners, but yeah, so if you're not into language learning, you can disable it, or if you like don't want it, you can disable it here. There's also this this setting that's called language props check. These are the properties that it checks to determine this language tag. So by default, it first checks subtitle language and then the audio language. So you can change this here if you want to. You can also set the language manually by using the language option. Probably something that you'll want to do on the command line if you don't have any, like, if the subtitles languages aren't set, or like the audio tracks also aren't like tagged with what language they're in. You can use that to set the tag, but you can also just easily add the tag with Timewarrior by just doing timew tag and then your entry ID if there was one that missed language information, and then you can just add the tag like that, SV for example, and it's already there in this case, but this is a way to tag manually. Or you can use this option, language option, alternatively. So it would be -- script ops mediaw language equals and then your value. It also explains here like what value has to be. It has to be an ISO language code. So I'm not gonna go into that. That's super geeky stuff, but you can read about it on Wikipedia. There's a link to an article, and you can just find your language there and use the language code. You can also set the format of that tag that will appear in the Timewarrior entry. You can have it appear as a two-letter language code, like I have here, SV. There's also three-letter language codes, which are well, they are of three-letter codes. So it will be for Swedish. I think it's SWE. So you can choose that. It will convert that automatically into the correct code, or you can use the language name in English. So these are the options for that. One thing that I also want to mention, in order to so the subtitle language, you can easily kind of make this work by, if you have external subtitle files like I have here, if you use the language code in the the secondary file name extension, so .en.srt for example for English, or .sv.srt for Swedish, .de.srt for German, it will make all of this work. You can also use three-letter language codes if you prefer them. You can read about it in these by following this link to the Wikipedia article. So that's all about the language codes. Now, let's see. The remaining options here are OSD. It just determines whether or not you want to that on-screen message to show, like when so OSD stands for on-screen display. You probably know about it if you've used for some time. So if I start MPV and press Ctrl T to start tracking, there's this message in the corner that just flashed, and that is what OSD message is. So you can set it to either yes in your configuration file or no, and that will either enable or disable those messages. Debug is what I have here in my terminal, like all these blue messages, so you can enable or disable them. I have them currently enabled, as you could see in my config file there. Where is it? So I have debug yes, debug set to yes right now. There's also this dry run option, which allows you to kind of prevent it from actually running the Timewarrior commands, but then it would just print messages in the terminal. It's for debugging essentially, so that's also something that's there. Let's see, let's close that. I'm thinking if there's anything else to say about this. So yeah, I'm thinking this is gonna be it for this video. Don't forget to check out the watchtower tool if you want to get these things in your terminal to help you with monitoring what's going on with Timewarrior as you use this plugin. The link to that video will be in the description, as well as a link to the video where I explain how to compile Timewarrior from source if you want to get the latest version. So yeah, this is gonna be it. I hope you like this plugin and that it helps you with tracking what you watch or listen to in MPV. I personally created it for myself for language learning, because I like knowing how much time I spend watching content in certain languages. So that's why you see all those language related features there. But you can just, if you listen to your podcasts or whatever, you can also track that and see how much time you spend doing that, for example. That's what this tool is for. So I hope you like it and that you find it useful. If you would like to support this channel, you can do it at ko-fi.com/linguisticmind. It will help with stimulating development and creating new content. So that would be really appreciated. But as for this video, this is going to be it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.